Wait, I'm not ready.
I might have actually got picked up on the recording button. That's how we started. Just wait, I'm not ready.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mallardin. You can call me Mal, and I draw anthropomorphic animals for a living.
Hey everyone, my name is Trevor Fox, and I'm a cartoonist. I draw a lot of cartoons, and I do a lot of transformation art in the furry community.
That's a good intro. A lot more robust than mine was. I feel bad. I should have gone into more detail.
It's okay. I'll do you one under. Don't worry. I'll have the worst.
Gotcha.
Hi. I'm Vino Math. I do what they do, but in mitten form. And this is Tangled Wires, where three furries get around and tangle the wires.
Is that the name we're actually going with?
Fuck if I know.
I mean, I like the name. I think it's good. Like, I couldn't come up with anything. Tangled Wires, I'm down with that. I like the game,
but
to talk about stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, but the tangled wires don't refer to anything. We might as well just call this podcast Baby Hands.
Okay, the Baby Head podcast it is.
Don't call it that because I stole that joke from someone.
Well, too bad. Now it's our joke. No one needs to know.
We're calling this podcast Baby Hands. Okay, cool. Okay, so my exposure to the furry fandom was I was around 14 years old, and it kind of just started wherein I just saw some art of like cartoon animals, more so like online. I'd watched cartoons growing up as well, and I was like, hey, I kind of like this, and I guess what kind of set me apart as far as like I went from liking it to starting to go down the road of considering myself a furry is I'm like, oh, hey, well, I kind of have a thing for paws, I'm like, I even knew at the time, that's not like, like a lot of people. But at the same time, I still had like the stigma about furries of like, oh yeah, furries are just these weirdos. They're these degenerates, they're sexual deviants or something. So I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like cartoon animals, I kind of like paws, but like I'm not a furry. I'm not a furry,
That's
I
how it
wouldn't
always
go
starts.
that far. That's how it starts, yeah. So then I start following more and more like artists that are kind of sort of in that vein. It started out with artists that draw kind of anthropomorphic animals sometimes, not necessarily furries per se, and then it got further and further and further, and like my height when I was like an older teenager, I was following, gosh, like maybe like a dozen or so like furry artists, and that's kind of when I started to ask myself the question, okay, is this what I am now technically? And I kind of was like in that limbo state for a long time, and I think the final moment when like I knew for sure I was is like around a year ago, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start actually drawing this stuff. I've been drawing for like a number of years now, but I'm gonna actually dip my toe into giving this a try for myself. And at that point, it's kind of like a gradient to where I wasn't, and now I'm to the point where I'm like, I am. I can deny it all I fucking want to, but like the facts are right there in front of you. I enjoy this stuff. I draw this stuff. I make my living drawing this stuff. I'm a fucking furry.
The classic, not a furry, but I'm interested in furry, and then eventually you just kind of fall. I have kind of a similar, I don't want to say upbringing because that makes it sound like more profound than it really is, but pretty much like I used to be like generic high school. I'm like, fuck furries, yeah, they're weird, they sex, whatever. And as I got older, I think it was around like starting high school. I don't remember how I ended up there, but like I ended up on like the Fur Affinity front page, and I'm just like, I actually kind of like this, and I started looking at it more, and then just by happenstance one day, like a transformation sequence was done. I'm like, oh wow, I really like this, and then it very much snowballed. But like I got into transformation, but I was still like, oh, I'm not a furry. Like my old fucking Fur Affinity account stood for not a furry because I was super like, I'm not this. I don't want to be labeled this. And then as time progressed, I'm just like, I started like, because I used to only write just like human transformations without like any anthro animal, and then I got to a point where I'm just like, Anthros was just a lot more fun to work with. I was still like, I'm not a furry, and then I started making Anthro characters, and then I'm just like I was kind of at the point. I was like, I have like 3 Anthro characters now. I pretty much exclusively write this. I just kind of admitted like, yeah, I'm a furry. Let's make a persona, and then that's how Napster came to be.
You wanna
Gotcha.
you wanna tell them how Napster's name came about?
Oh, so Napster's name was inspired by my old FA name, which was Naf, and I just put stir at the end because I thought it'd be funny because it's just like Napster but with an F. So I put viruses in your computer.
Yeah. One little thing you want to mention though. What does NAF stand for?
It stands for not a furry.
Yes.
Oh,
Not a furry stir.
that's hilarious.
Napster is pretty much like the anti-furry character in a way. 'Cause it's like, literally, his name is "I'm not a furry," even though I am someone's persona.
I'm so sorry, Vino. I feel like I've dragged you even further down into the furry wormhole.
I'm just like it's a slippery slope. It's like you see those movies where like they put like sticks and they put like leaves over it and like you step on it, they bring you fall in that hole. That's kind of what all of this is. You just gotta fall in and you don't get back up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate to draw a compare the furry community to Vietnamese spike pits, but I guess that's where we're at right
I don't know that's what that was, honestly. I only ever saw them in, like the movies.
I mean, what do you think? There's just a pit and there's nothing down there? No, sir.
Wouldn't it be more like Stockholm syndrome?
I guess.
I get.
Wait, yeah.
That would be a little bit less morbid too. Yeah.
Well, you don't gotta put spikes at the bottom. You can just put like dirt.
I've had people disagree with me on it because usually the question is, when did your furry awakening happen? And my answer is, I was always a furry. I just, didn't find the group or people that also liked what I did until later.
Right.
And people disagree with me on that in the sense that, well, there had to be a starting point where you saw the artwork, you were influenced by it, and that's kind of when you became it. And I understand that. But I remember as a kid seeing things like SWAT Cats and shows like that, Disney's Robin Hood. And my thought was never, like, I knew that I loved that art. I knew that I loved it. But my thought was, yes, this feels right. This is what it should be. I really like this, but I would love to see more of it. So I feel like I've always really enjoyed it. It's just, but I did have those starting cartoons.
Yeah.
But as far as like getting into furry stuff, like I had seen other people bad mouthing furries and talking about them and sexual deviance, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to be associated with them. I really love the art style. I just don't know if I want to call myself a furry.
Yeah.
So,
And it's a lot like what I was too, especially.
Yeah, so it was getting over that hurdle and realizing that, it didn't matter all that much.
Right.
And like, yeah, I'm a furry because I like this stuff. Like, anyone that looks at what I draw is going to call me a furry regardless. But I didn't get into. I discovered when I was 14. That's when I found stuff on the internet with other people drawing furry art, but also drawing transformation art, which I really enjoyed. The concept of transformation. That was, as a kid, that concept was really magical. Like, I loved animals. Becoming an animal sounded like a lot of fun. You just got like the whole kid mindset around it. And then certain cartoons would show transformation. And I'm like, I really like this. It's a lot of fun. I wish I could find more art of it. But I was also kind of embarrassed. I didn't want other people to know that I liked that. I would be really embarrassed if anyone was around. I just knew that they were going to know that I liked it, and then it was going to be weird. But I found that art when I was 14. So, gosh, when was that? I graduated high school at 18. That was in 2007. So 2003. I did not join the furry fandom, like, as far as like just kind of accepting myself as a part of it and putting myself on Fur Affinity. I did that in 2012.
What's funny is I've noticed this a lot. Whenever I check people's Fur Affinity accounts, 2012, 2013 is a very, very common year. It's like 2011 to 2013.
That's
There's
exactly
lots
true.
of accounts that were created there. Yeah.
Mine included.
Yeah, yours included. Shit.
When did you? It was like recent, isn't it? Like 2016 or something like that.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, me? Yeah, my account is not even that, dude. My Fur Affinity account was created on June 29th, 2019.
That's a lot more recent than I thought it was.
So like, I've been doing this for a little over a year. So I am the definition of new blood. The definition of it.
Yeah, we got that elder on you. Not elder. What the fuck's that word? Seniority.
Seniority. Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck did I say, elder.
But I was actually gonna get into kind of going off of the fact that after talking about our stories and all that stuff and how we all have like different upbringings. I used your word again. Different backgrounds, whatever. What does it mean to be a furry per se? Because I think that's the main poignant question here.
Yeah.
Because is being a furry just liking anthropomorphic animals? Is being a furry, does there have to be a kink element attached to it? You have to participate in the community to be considered a furry? I mean, it's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, I feel like depending on who you like, you're gonna no matter who you ask this question to, you're gonna get a different answer. You get similar answers, but I don't think you ever get the same. Like to me, a furry is just someone who enjoys anthropomorphic animals, like not necessarily like in a kinky way, for lack of a better word, like a sexual way. It's like, oh yeah, I just like the design, I like the concept of animals with humanoid features. It's like I don't like see furry that much as like a term really. I just kind of see it as this like almost just like an adjective.
So it's more of an adjective and not a noun, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because like to me in particular, I'm just like, it's like furries are like there's like more to it, but like at like a more of a baseline of furry, like it's just. Cause like I don't see people like when I see they're a furry, I just see them as like, oh yeah, that's a person who likes anthropomorphic animals. In the same way, like a sports fan, like they like baseball. I'm not gonna be like they're baseball Bill.
Mine has always been. Let me just preface this by saying, given the fact that I introduced the topic as I did, I don't see like there being one true answer. It's just like the way I've always perceived it.
Right.
I've always perceived it as there needs to be like some kind of kink. And the reason why I say that is because, well, I mean, there's a reason why movies like Robin Hood exist. Because at the end of the day, people find anthropomorphic animals cute. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who didn't, view anthropomorphic animals as being cute on some level. One thing that Dan always says is, I guess I'm a furry, because he talks about how he really likes anthropomorphic animals in media. But like, there's the reason why I put the line in for the kink is like, well, what distinguishes you from like your average person more so? Well, how you are different than your average person, I should say.
My reasoning is going to be very similar to Vino's. Sorry.
No one pronounces it right. I don't even. Technically, my pronunciation is the wrong way, but
I called you Vino for a solid. I called you Vino for a solid year, and I didn't know. I didn't know it was wrong.
But I see it like if you're a furry, you're someone that likes anthropomorphic animals. That's it. I don't think a kink factor has to be in there because, like, let's say I didn't draw transformation art. Like, not all TF art is kinky, but it can be.
Right.
Art is art. Art will go through all kinds of mediums. I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit. We'll cover that later. But like, I could just draw general furry art because I enjoy it and be part of the community and I'd be a furry. But I did want to bring up a friend's definition of furry because they felt that being a furry, like furry is kind of a label that you self-identify with. There are people that don't want to be called furries, even if they do like the art, and
Right.
that's fine. Um, I don't see a problem with that, but it kind of goes along with my friend's definition. He feels that like once you make a persona, because it is a furry representation of yourself, you have to desire a furry representation of yourself to be like on display for other people to see that, and then that represents you, so that would make you a furry.
Well, I can tell you right now, by that logic, I am not a furry because I actually don't have a persona. Uh,
Yeah.
my little demon gut character, Felgar, he's like my mascot. But I mean, I don't identify with him personally. It's just what I use in my art. It's a recurring theme that I make use of. It's not like, oh, that's me. That's Brandon. You know that it's like no, that's just a character I came up with. So by that definition, I am not a furry.
I understand that. I have comic characters that I wouldn't be like, that's me, because it's not.
Right? Yeah.
I do definitely agree because like pre like making like my persona, I would like consider myself like a furry. Like after like I feel like having a persona is just like the main acceptance of like yeah, I'm a furry. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is for me too. Where if I were to list off like the average person or whatever, if someone wants to like open up my brain and be like the top 10 adjectives that I use to define myself, furry would not be one of them, despite the fact that I am. It's more so for me like I technically am. I have the interest for it. I draw it for a living. Yeah, I'm not gonna deny it. I'm a fucking furry, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
for me. It's more so like not something that important. It's not.
Right.
It's like it's what I am. It's what I like. It's what I draw for fuck's sake. But it's not. And I think I will tell you because of the internet and society gradually being more accepting of I guess different philosophies, be they sexual or not. I think that's almost a really good sign. The fact that you can have people out there like me who can be who can be into it, but not completely buried in it.
Right.
You can have people who are kind of like in between,
Right.
versus like having like one extreme, like I'm like I'm 100% a furry, kind of like more what you are, Trev.
Oh yeah. Total
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. Versus like your average person who's like, wait, aren't furries like weird people who have sex in costumes, like that kind of thing. You can have a middle ground, and I think that middle ground is widening and widening.
Keep bouncing off that. It's like a fan of like any other thing. Like be in anime, it's people who are gonna be like, oh, I want to cosplay as anime characters. I want to go to a convention. While there's other people who are just like, I just enjoy the shows. Or like baseball, you got people who are like painting themselves in the team colors, writing letters on them. While other people are just like, they just go because they just like the game. It's just a matter of how much you're into it or not.
I think the anime comparison is a really good one actually because anime, you being an anime fan is like, well, you like the art style, you like the art style, and if you treat being a furry as the same thing, then yeah, that makes perfect freaking sense. It's like a stylistic choice. Anthropomorphic animals, in that regard, yeah, I totally get it.
It was a very intentional comparison. I totally intended for that to be compared because I knew I was on that wavelength.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, boom.
I've seen 2 animes. I know a thing or two.
Yeah. But kind of, it's kind of funny. We're talking about like our views on furries. My view, as far as like me like liking anime or whatever, is kind of the same thing. Where like would I call myself like a weeb? No. Would I call myself like a fan of anime? I mean, technically, but like it's more so like I like media in general, and hey, I happen to like some content that is animated and that comes out of Japan. Am I a fan of anime? Yes. Would I like say like, oh, that's like a major defining factor of me? No. It's just kind of a reality.
Right.
Gotcha. You know what? I can understand that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's just like any other genre. Like, oh, I like horror, comedy, animation. It's just another kind of medium. It's not like it's a whole different thing. It's like It's the
Yeah.
you can see an anime and like even though like it's an animated cartoon from Japan, like the exact same concept could still be done in the U.S. It's just a matter of pretty much as a visual style, essentially.
Yeah. I think the only reason why it really stands out, why like it's special, like example, you don't say like I am a comedy movie buff. You know, you don't see people saying that because it's just like, well, I mean, this is like it's just like normal. It's just accepted. Yeah, people like comedies. The only reason why I think anime gets a special categorization is because of the fact that it is so distinct from
Right.
Western media. You know, you see lots of like different cultural elements come in stylistically it's distinct as well. Yeah, I think that's mainly how it's different. Kind of like with furries too, where like um uh actually I am kind of getting ahead of myself here because again it does depend on your definition. It does depend on your definition because with like with the way Trev sees it, which I totally fucking get this, it's everyone is like a little bit of a furry. Everyone's like a little bit of one because everybody kind of likes, you know, anthropomorphic animals. So everyone's like has like a little bit of it in them, you know. Um Versus like with anime, you know, I mean, I think a lot of people, you know, even if they haven't seen a lot of anime, they could say, "Oh, hey, you know, I like that art style," or like, "I think it's generally appealing," you know. But they wouldn't be. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting comparison to make, like furries versus anime. But I think there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of bouncing off that. I'm like kind of like the opposite in terms of that. Like, I do not like the anime style, but I like the stories that come out of anime.
Interesting.
Like when I was watching JoJo, like I was like, I was not a fan of the art style. Like, especially the later parts, it was a little too out there for me. But I still I didn't like the tier for my enjoyment because I was enjoying the content being put in front of me rather than like.
Vino, we're gonna have to fucking throw down. You don't like JoJo's art style?
I don't. I will say like it's one of the better anime art styles, but I've just never liked the anime art style that much.
Yeah, I will. To your point. I will agree that I start to like JoJo's art style less and less as it goes on. Like I really enjoy part 2 and 3. Even though part 3 everyone looks like an action figure, that's kind of has its own charm to it for me. 4 I like the most because like it's a good balance, I think. But when you get to like 5 and 6, Araki has more and more of like a realistic art style or more realistic influence, and I think it kind of clashes with what he had before. And now if you go all the way up to like, you know, the part 8 manga, JoJo Leon, it's like, I hate this, you know. So I'm with you at least on the later parts. And what I will say though, to your credit, this is stopping me from beating the crap out of you, is the fact that if you were able to enjoy JoJo as much as you did, and you still didn't like the art style, that says a lot. That says a lot, right?
Like if it was like all animated, like how like Part 5 was, I'd probably like it a lot less. But like,
same.
I think like. I think Part 2 probably had the best art style. Part 2 is the more I think about Part 2, the more I realize how much I like Part 2. Unrelated to art, but like I do agree though. Part 4, I think I like if it was all anime like Part 4, it'd be like perfect for me. Like Part 4 is doing animation like I really like.
Hell yeah, we can agree on that. But we're kind of straying.
Off.
We went from furries to anime, and now we're talking about fucking JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That's a podcast. Nothing stays the same.
That is true. Things just fly off the fucking walls. But the problem is now we're kind of like locking Trevor in like this little area of like, hey, that sounds cool, but like, you know, I might not have seen that or not. So
you expect me to watch weeb trash? I'm just kidding. I have a friend that really wants me to watch JoJo's. I still need to do it. I just haven't yet.
It is enjoyable. Mal's mad on the order I watched it in, which I think is a better order, honestly.
No, so watching things in chronological order, yeah, that's overrated. Let's read book 3. Let's put Fellowship of the Ring at the middle point.
No. That's not a fair comparison. Here's how I'm gonna compare it. It's like a Zelda timeline almost. Like, well, like you can. There's like different parts you can start, and you don't need the context of the previous part. So some stuff will be cooler, but like you don't need the context, and it's more because like if I started with part 1, I might not have continued to finish watching the show. But I started with
Gotcha.
part 4, and part 4 is like one of the best parts, and like you don't
Yeah,
need the context of the other ones, so it's better. It makes moments more impactful if you start from part 1, but starting with part 4, you get like right to the good stuff, and like you don't need the context of the other stuff.
I can
Gotcha.
I can understand that philosophy. I can. I guess for me, it's just a matter of if you get that part 1, part 2, and then part 3, like the ultimate final confrontation that's at the end of part 3, that's been building up from the beginning, it hits so much more. Like what you were saying. I guess for me, I'm biased. I experienced it that way. And when I showed it to my boyfriend, I had him experience it that way too. So like
Yeah.
I will admit I have bias here. But I can tell you, you're not completely wrong. You're not completely wrong. I understand where you're coming from. Even if it grinds my gears, I'm like, I see what you're talking about. I see what you're talking
I
about.
mean, fuck, you can tell with part 5. Part 5 has like almost nothing to do with the other parts, like except for like the very first episode.
Right, right. That's true. Part 5 is especially an outlier.
And it's so good. It has the best music. The fucking everyone that
It is.
fucking piano song everybody knows.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll let Trevor out of his box
Yeah.
now. What kind of anime have you seen, Trevor? And are there any that you particularly enjoy?
Okay, so I didn't have a lot of anime experience as a kid. Like, I saw Pokemon, Digimon, Dragon Ball Z,
That's
and
a lot.
when I got older, I tried to watch Naruto. I made it like 10 episodes, and I'm like, I can't handle this. It's so stupid. Trevor, do you like anime? And I'm like, I mean, I guess I've seen stuff that I like Zoids, whatever. And then he showed me Death Note, and I love Death Note. And from
Oh
there,
my
I saw
God.
like really good anime, like Full Metal Alchemist, Monster, Gurren Lagann. Just like those are really good.
Trevor, you say Death Note was like the first anime that like really hooked you.
Yeah.
Uh, fucking same, fucking same. That's what did it for me. Death Note. Once I saw it, I was like, my friend had shown me a bunch of anime. I'm like, okay, this is fine. Because
Mhm.
I mentioned that you watching all that growing up was a lot. Because I only saw one anime growing up, and that was Sonic X. And
Gotcha.
that anime is dog shit. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's dog shit. I loved it as a kid, but especially the 4 kids version that I saw was dog shit. That was my exposure to anime. And I didn't. My friend, like, I went to his house. He showed me a bunch of different shows. He showed me Sword Art Online.
Mhm.
He showed me. Let me think. I don't remember all of them, but that was like the biggest one he showed me, and they just never really clicked with me all that much. But right at the very very end, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll put on Death Note, I guess," and that's the one where it was like it clicked, and ever since then, I just yeah, Full Metal Alchemist was like the next one I really got into too. So funny you mentioned that. Yeah, very similar to what Trevor went through.
And Sword Art Online makes me mad. It should be called Wasted Potential.
Fuck yeah, I agree. I agree so hard with that.
Like, it boils down to it being a love story, but just because something's a love story doesn't mean it has to be bad. Like, but Sword Art Online, the first season, like, the. Oh god, what is the first world called that they're in? It's
I
not
don't even,
Aincrad, is it?
I don't remember, dude. I remember the
Okay,
name
so
of yeah, go on.
the first world that they're in with the tower they have to climb, and then the fairy world, that's all one season. It feels like two different seasons. So, like, season one had its climax at the halfway point. And
Damn.
then it does, like, other stuff that's just not as interesting. None of it matters. They had such good build up with the first one, but then just squandered it on really slow pacing. Like, watching through it again, when you don't have the excitement of, oh my gosh, what's going to come next, it shows you how bad the pacing is on it, and it's just really slow and really drags at certain parts.
Yeah, I got like a taste of that. I think the nail in the coffin for me, the final one, was the fact that I just did not like Asuna as a character. She's like the main love interest. Like she was absolutely like just like the stereotypical tsundere kind of anime chick, to the point where, I mean, maybe I was like, first getting into anime and I was biased against it, but I really did not like her as a character later on with what they did with her. She didn't really have that much depth in my opinion. I found her to be pretty irritating, and like I realized that she's the primary love interest of the anime, and I found out from my friends that, okay, well, she kind of becomes like the quote unquote damsel in distress, where like the second season is like saving her from this other game, and I'm like, I don't want to get on this fucking train. I don't like this. And then after about like the first 5 or 6 episodes, I'm just like, I'm out.
I finished it. I kept watching it. I watched it through Gun Gale Online. I watched some of the side story after that, and then I kind of fell off. I'm like, this is never gonna get good again, is it? I was holding out hope because I love the premise so much.
Trevor,
But
you are a saint. You stuck with that, man.
I tried. It wasn't worth it, man.
Uh,
Freaking the best SAO episode to me was the Christmas episode where
Oh,
well it ends with the Christmas one. I thought that was great character development. Kirito had a reason for being a loner other than I don't want to be around anybody. It gave him a purpose for his character. And like that could have been expounded on as like a weakness or something, just like they kind of touch on it later between him and Asuna, but I don't know. I just felt they could have done so much more with it. It was such a gripping episode where he decided to finally join a clan. They go to a dungeon because he lied about his level, which got them overwhelmed. They fall into a trap and they all get murdered. And when he reports back to the guild master is upset that all of his real life friends have been killed and commit suicide. It's like,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
freaking intense.
I will tell you, I remembered that episode. That actually was a good episode. That's actually one of the episodes that like does stick out in my head, where I'm like, that was good. I enjoyed that one. It wasn't enough to keep me, with it, but
Yeah.
I'm glad I stuck with it long enough to at least catch that one.
Yeah, like that was incredible, and they just it never got that good again. The payoff at the end of that episode was really good too, where Kirito was trying to get like this item that was rumored about that could bring people back to life, and when he finally gets it, it's only within like 10 seconds of their death.
God, I didn't realize that became like a thing. It kind of starts to be like Sword Art Online with the Philosopher's Stone, and Sword Art Online, I should say, for my Alchemist with the Philosopher's Stone.
But yeah, I really like that. And then I tried to get into Log Horizon, and God, that anime sucks so much. I watched the entire first season. There's like 5 good episodes, and the best episodes are when they're doing world building and politics. Those are so interesting. It's like, oh, these are the politics of this world and the powers that are like vying for control. And this is how magic works, and these people are figuring this out. Like that was all really interesting. The characters are the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. God. Like, you got like the main soldier. He's like, I'm a soldier, and panties are my treasure. And I'm just like,
oh
what?
God.
Like, why? And then like this one female character. There's a main character. She's like 18, but she looks like a little girl.
That's like anime.
And,
like
oh yeah, totally. But this other female character has like this sexual fascination with dressing her up like a like a doll or something. She's always like breathing really heavily and stuff. And I'm just like, I freaking hate these characters so much. They do make fun of furries in one episode as like a prop in the background, which I thought was an amusing joke, though.
Oh God, yeah. My exposure with it, I never saw Log Horizon, but I had like a friend of mine who was like, "Dude, you have to watch Log Horizon. It's so much better than Sword Art Online." And then like a couple days later, he's like, "Yeah, you know how I said to watch Log Horizon?" He's like, "Don't bother."
Yeah, there are 5 good episodes in the first season, and I still think it would be really funny to trade the intro music for that and Digimon.
very controversial opinion, but anime is very hit and miss.
Oh no, that's
Or
true.
No, 100%. The most hit anime I've ever seen is Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I've talked about it with Mal before. I don't know if I talked about it with you, Trevor, but it's the stupidest fucking just so I've ever seen. Not just anime, just fucking so.
Mhm.
There's so much stupid fucking shit in that show, like fucking. There's a guy who goes to live in the woods and becomes Tarzan because he can't draw cards.
I like this already.
There's fucking the whole season 2 arc is just about how like one of like the professors want to tear down like the dome with like all like the bad players, while there's also a cult rising on in the background that wants to sign the world in light. One of the characters he loses a duel and gets PTSD and can't see his cards, so he has a hallucination where he goes to space and meets a talking dolphin, and that's how he breaks out of it. It's fucking.
Oh my gosh.
It's the most absurd fucking show. Like Yu-Gi-Oh has like absurd stuff. Like some of it's like genuinely good, but Yu-Gi-Oh GX in particular has so like half the episode, more than half, are the most absurd fucking things, and I love it.
We've talked about furries. We've talked about anime. We've talked about very nerdy stuff. Would you all agree?
Yes.
Yeah. We've yet to hit the video game mark.
But
we
speaking
do.
of anime, I want to talk about Samurai Jack.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's just recap it by saying the last season has great potential. It does great. It's awesome. It's amazing, and everyone should watch it right now because it's perfect in every way. Yeah.
But with that said, the last season fucking sucks ass. God damn it, I fucking hate it. It makes me so mad.
By the way, I was being sarcastic there to everyone listening. The worst part of it is the fact that it starts off so good. Like, it gets you going. It gets you hooked. It's like, oh my god, I like this new mature take on Samurai Jack. You know, we're actually seeing like a little bit of blood. We're seeing, Jack get like pushed to like his limit. How he's evolved over the years from like the character we knew in the original show to what he's become in like this final season. And it hooked me. I loved it. And then they introduced the love interest character. Again, this is kind of like reminiscent of freaking Sword Art Online, except one is called Austin, now the other is called Ashi. So if you see female love interests that have a name that starts with an A, like fucking look out, because similar kind of situation.
So I've looked around at what other people have thought about Samurai Jack, season 5. And when it first came out, everyone loved it. And I felt so alone because I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something because I really want to love this and I don't. And the general consensus that I see from after it's settled down is that people really like the first 3 episodes and hate everything else. But my opinion's a little bit different. I do think the first 3 episodes are the strongest. It never gets better than the first 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think the 4th episode is really good. It's slow paced. It has that classic Samurai Jack feel.
Which one is the 4th episode again?
The 4th episode is where Jack and Ashi are trapped within the monstrous creature that ate them.
Okay, I actually did like that one. I did like that one.
Yeah. And I recently watched through season 5 again with a friend because he had never seen it before. So I kind of got to reassess the episodes. Samurai Jack season 5 was not as bad as I thought, like going through the episodes again, but the writing does start to suffer after the 4th episode. There's really contrived things that happen, like Jack says, I'm going to show you how evil the world is. He sees a spaceship fly to this tower, somehow goes down the mountain into the city, gets a disguise, goes into the building, goes up the elevator to the top floor, where they're able to just sit in the doorway and listen to this guy talk to the ship pilot that just arrived about how evil this guy is. It's very like black and white evil. It's really silly.
Yeah, and I think and I mean, heck, it just goes down. You're talking about contrivances. I mean, I think the biggest one for me sticks out is just how Jack winds up getting back to the past. It's in the fucking intro. Um,
Yeah.
because they had like a whole thing set up in the original show where like there's like this portal he can use, but it's guarded by this insanely powerful dude who says you're not ready, and he's not able to
Yes.
go through the portal but the show, the final season goes out of its way to circumvent that. They show that I guess at some point or another, Aku just defeated this guy and destroyed the portal. Why? He just did, for whatever reason. In fact, like the
Mhm.
original show like foreshadows like Jack like being older and coming back to do it again. But the show's like, nah, that was a really bad idea. Instead, this is how Jack gets back to the past.
And it's even
Literally,
worse.
it's about, I think, like it's so bad it's comical. Like if I
Be-
was working on the script and my goal was to make the audience laugh, this is what I would do.
Before
Literally,
we get
go
into
on.
that, though, can I talk about like when it got bad?
Oh yeah, let's start from the beginning.
So, you've got episode 4, you've got 5, 6, and 7. They're all going on. They're still covering some pretty dark themes. It actually works okay though, despite the writing suffering. Like Ashi and Jack, they make a pretty solid team, and it's fun to watch them. Then
Mhm.
episode 8 happens. Samurai Jack has never had a love interest. The show has never been about that. Episode 8 goes out of its way for awkward humor, which I personally never like. It makes me uncomfortable and just embarrassed for what I'm watching. Episode 8 is the worst romantic relationship episode I have ever seen. And it doesn't belong in Samurai Jack. When I was watching it with a friend, he said, it feels like this episode is written by someone different. That's how terrible it was.
Freaking right,
And
right.
then the reason that the rest of it sucks is because episodes 9 and 10, the final 2 episodes,
Based off
try
of
to build off of 8.
Yeah, that's the exact same conclusion I came to, because it got to the point when I was watching it where I would write notes on my phone as I was watching because I was so pissed off at what they were doing. And I realized, yeah, because the whole, love relationship that gets established in episode 8, well, that carries on right till the end. That's not going away. And I think the reason why it was so awkward in part is because it was not built up to. It's like it was built up to that Jack and Ashi are like, allies. They're working together. They're maybe even friends. But from the start of the episode 8 to the end, that's all the time they have to develop them as a romantic couple. And so it feels forced, it feels awkward, and it doesn't work because you can't have characters go from friends to love interests, like mutual love interests, on a dime like that. It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
it doesn't make sense because they knew they had limited runtime, and it started out so good, and at the end, it felt like they just wanted to finish it and get it over with.
But what I will say is yeah, the love interest thing with like, Ashi at the end was like awkward and stuff. But that was the weird foundation, and then by the end you have like the building that results in it, and the whole thing comes toppling down like it's made of styrofoam, like
Yeah.
a house of cards. And the main reason that is I mean, heck, the big freaking premise of the show is, got to get back to the past, and that's like the big question: how's Jack going to get back to the past? And literally, the way he gets back is him and Ashi are fighting Aku, and at this point, like, he realized that, oh yeah, Ashi is made from Aku's essence or whatever. Literally, I think the line is like, Ashi, you have Aku's powers, and she says, oh yeah, I do, and then she immediately opens a portal for him, and he just goes to the portal, and that's it. The end.
It's no
The end.
exaggeration. It's that quick. It's awful.
It's like 10 seconds. 10 seconds. It's absurd to me. Like, again, like you're writing comedy. How can a team of writers, seriously pen that Jack realizes how to get back to the past because of a complete contrivance, and within 10 seconds, boom, it's just over. Like, how can you write that down as a concept and be like, that's good, that's great? That's why I'm so baffled. How did this even get to the point? How did this even get to the storyboarding phase? It's fucking
it's so
ridiculous.
bad. Like Jack suddenly goes back to the past, abandons all of his friends in the future,
All
kills
of them
Aku in the past. Uh,
immediately.
yeah, and has a wedding with Ashi. Ashi disappears because her timeline doesn't exist anymore, and then Jack is sad. Now, the artistic thing that I like is as Jack is sad, sitting alone in a misty forest, a ladybug flies to him, which represents Ashi because she saw a ladybug as a kid, and it's kind of what drew her to not kill Jack. She saw him hold a ladybug. And as the scene pans out, you see Jack sitting under a cherry blossom tree, which is kind of in the shape of Ashi's hair. Artistically, that is beautiful.
Hell
But
yeah.
narratively, it is absolute diarrhea, and they could have had a beautiful narrative and a beautiful art direction at the end.
I knew exactly what you were talking about. When you said like artistically, I immediately thought of like the little ladybug scene at the end. But the problem is it's kind of like the last few episodes. The foundation it's built upon is complete dog shit. And in the moment I couldn't even appreciate that scene because I was just raging in my head about how stupid all this was. It didn't make any sense. And then I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, fucking ladybug. Anyway, show's over, and I'm like pissed off. I couldn't even appreciate that moment because the writing was so flawed. And I think it's a damn shame in its own right.
It is because the reason that the ending is so bad is because Jack does go back in time and defeat Aku. It's like, oh, we got a happy ending, right? Except there's a few possible outcomes. One, he erased the future timeline, so all of the friends he made along the way, they're gone. They show Jack sacrificing going back to the past in order to save people in the future. He destroys a portal in order to save these three archers that were under Aku's control. He could have gone back to the past and chose not to. But since he did choose to go back now, the future timeline is completely gone, making all of his sacrifices meaningless. It makes him look like an idiot. The second possibility is that timeline exists as a separate dimension, and all of those friends that Jack built up with along the way, they're trapped with Aku now, and Samurai Jack's sword is the only thing that could kill Aku. So they're all fucked.
I know, which is why you know what would have been great if he had killed Aku in the future, which is where the show takes place, and then gone back and killed him in the past. But see, that would have actually taken tact. That would have actually have taken awareness of the show's narrative up until that point and the show's universe, which clearly the people working on this did not have.
Yes. Now, the ending that I think they should have gone with is in season 5 they established that it's been 50 years since like season 4 happened, but Samurai Jack doesn't age because of time travel nonsense. It's a plot device, but you know what, it works. It doesn't really break anything. I'm okay with it. Now, what I think they should have done, they had this giant army against Aku. Jack should have had an epic battle with Aku at the end. He should have defeated him in the future. And a big thing they do in season 5 is Jack is haunted by demons from his past, his family burning in hell, like just this eternal suffering that they're under because he did not manage to defeat Aku. He was still like tormented by this, and he had lost his sword, which also tormented him further. They should have had him defeat Aku. They should have had the time catch up to him so that he grew old and possibly faded away. They had a lot of like spiritualism in it because he is from ancient Japan. They could have had him like look up and see his family happy to greet him in the afterlife and him going with them.
Exactly. Oh my god, I never even thought about that.
That would have been so beautiful. And they showed like statues of Samurai Jack in the season 5, and it would have provided a memory to these people of this benevolent hero that had saved them from Aku's reign. It would have been so much more pertinent since he defeated Aku for them. And then Ashi is a character that they built up over season 5, and she was a trained assassin from birth, but Samurai Jack taught her how to fight for good. She could have carried on in his footsteps
Oh
and
my
continued
god.
what he did.
Holy crap, Trevor! You have had a lot of time to think about this, and I love this narrative that you're spelling out here. Oh my
It would have
god!
been so much better. And like you can work with it and stuff, but God, like that would have kept within the theming of the show, and it would have been so good.
But Johnny,
Yeah.
the thing I know we just kind of spoiled the whole fucking show right there. But or
Oh yeah,
or
spoiler
Vino.
alert for everyone.
Spoiler alert at the end.
Spoiler alert! Oh Jesus Christ, we really need to put like a spoiler alert warning in this podcast because holy crap, we just kind of casually were like, by the way, here's the end of Samurai Jack. Fuck
It's
you if
been
you
like
haven't
3
seen it.
years. If they haven't seen it, they don't want to see it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Anyway, still, still, man, if you have an interest in it, just watch like the early episodes, or at least watch a few episodes. It's a solid show, and honestly, you can just stop at season 4. My first exposure to Samurai Jack, I kid you not, was there was an episode of Duck Dodgers, where they did a parody of Samurai Jack. And like, because Daffy was like, they animated like half the episode in the Samurai Jack art style, and Daffy was like Samurai Jack, and they make all kinds of jokes.
Wait, you needed to do your chicken rant.
Oh yeah. I'll save for next time, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll remember. So okay.
Here's our chicken segue.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
So we were talking about we were talking about like a lot of like pop culture stuff. Here's something that everyone can relate to. So the other day I was hungry. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get Arby's because I was just craving curly fries, and they're like the only place that sells them.
First mistake. I'm craving Arby's.
I was really craving curly fries, but Arby's was the only place close by that had curly fries, so that's why I went to Arby's. And so I bought some curly fries, and they had like a 2 for $6 deal. It came with like 2 like chicken sandwiches, so I bought those. I come home, I'm ready to eat, and so I'm eating my chicken, and a thing I've noticed consistently, it only happens with chicken sandwiches. Not something with pork, doesn't happen with beef, it's only chicken. And I don't know if it happens with these guys too, but like if it has like a sauce on it, like a cheese or something, like when you take a bite out of it, like half the chicken comes out with it, and like you just have so much left over, and there's no chicken inside the bread. Like, has that happened? Like, that happens to you guys, right? I'm not eating my chicken sandwiches wrong, right?
Yeah, it does. But like, I'm gonna be honest. This is like, they say first world problems. This is like the ultimate. Like, sometimes the chicken flips out of the bread when I try to eat it in my sandwich. I just can't take it fucking seriously.
I'm not denying the trivialness of this issue, but a trivial issue is still an issue. Because it's either here or there that it happens, but like, why does it only happen with chicken? It happens with no other meat. It's only chicken. Like, if you have like sauce on like a burger, it never comes with you. It's only chicken that does this.
Vino, I've gone through this stuff before. I have, but you poor baby.
Because I had this thought the other day, because like I was eating it, like the first one with no problem, and the second one, like all the chicken was out by the time like the third bite. I saw like half a sandwich left with just fucking ranch on the buns. Like, I don't want to eat ranch on buns. That's gross.
I got a quote. Ranch on buns. That's gross.
It's like, hey, like ranch it's a good condiment. It's not the best, but it's good. But like, I don't want to eat just ranch on a bun. It's like, you want, like, I don't like. God, like, hey, can I have a ranch sandwich, please? Hold the meat and vegetables.
Okay, so where do you like your ranch? If you don't like your ranch on 2 buns, then where do you like your ranch?
Usually on the chicken.
On the chicken. You like your ranch on the chicken? Okay.
Like I don't like I usually don't like use like condiments like in a burger because then it can get messy quickly. So like if it's on the side, like just dip like fries in it or whatever. But like it's like if they put it on the bun, it always slides. Like it always makes the meat slide out because there's like too much like slippery juice. I think there's a better term for that, but I can't think of it.
But here's the problem: if you like at Chick-fil-A, for instance, like the chicken they put on the sandwiches, I mean, it's decently like stable, but it's not like flat on the top. You can't like spread. You can't like spread ranch on top of the chicken all that easily, unless you're doing like chicken patties, which I mean, you know, that's kind of gross.
One, I think it's weird you think chicken patties are gross. Unrelated.
Chicken patty. Chicken isn't like a patty, you know. I mean, I guess like at Chick-fil-A, it's kind of sort of like shaped for you, like in like a roundish shape. But like you know, like putting chicken in like a patty form is like I don't know. When it comes to chicken, I just never quite understood it. Like whenever I see chicken in like patty form, I'm like, oh my god, I don't. It just doesn't seem right, you know. Like you're violating the natural order of things.
Real talk. I think like a chicken like sandwich, like how like a burger is, it actually tastes so much better than when it's not. It's actually so good.
What do you mean exactly?
Like how you're describing, like the chicken you're describing, where you make it like a burger, like that shit's good.
Yeah, you mean like with the condiments, like what makes the burger per se?
Well, because it's like a patty, and you just build it as you build a burger.
Yeah. See, I agree with that, but like with Chick-fil-A, I mean, I'd say it's like a burger. Like you got lettuce, you got freaking.
No,
mayo,
I would not call it a sandwich. Like a chicken sandwich, like from like Chick-fil-A or Popeyes, like those aren't like those are two like distinct things. Like because that's not a patty. That's like a chicken breast they put on it. Like it's not a patty. Like a patty's like something like a spicy chicken from McDonald's or Burger King or like.
So not only are you saying that chicken and like a perfectly round, perfectly compressed patty is not only is it acceptable
because it's different
it's
because it's different because like with like a chicken sandwich like it's fried chicken but like a patty it's not fried it's like grilled a different way.
Okay, you're talking about grilled chicken. Okay, I didn't. Okay,
no, you don't make fried chicken as a patty. Like you can like spicy chicken sandwiches do, but
okay, yeah. Okay, that the fried chicken thing as a patty was what I was talking about.
I only eat fried chicken.
Grilled chicken is like you can by itself it's like the most bland thing, but like when you like toss in like if you toss in some pizzazz, like you can get it going. Like,
the only way grilled chicken is good is when you literally cook it over like a charcoal grill. Then it's fucking great, but otherwise it's just yeah.
No, I actually have a way I make grilled chicken that I like it.
how do you do it? I'm curious.
Oh, you just oh god, what's the seasoning? I guess Italian seasoning. You just marinate it in that for like 30 minutes or a day, either one, and then cook it in the oven.
You gotta marinate it though and season it properly, because by itself it's just
like it's bland. That's why I mean it's part of like every like fucking diet for a reason. Like it's bland and it's healthy, but like doesn't necessarily make it taste good. But like if you like put like spices or like seasonings or like dressing like teriyaki or garlic or whatever you want to put on it, like you can make it beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was gonna wring your neck, Vino, but I realized that I actually agree with what you're saying, so we're okay.
Everyone wins.
Yay!
End of the day, chicken sandwiches are a scam.
Let's call this episode Ranch on Buns.
Ranch on Buns.
I don't know.
Put ranch on buns, Samurai Jack spoilers.
Oh god, we're getting off to a great start here, boys.
I'm just throwing another spoiler out there since we've already like had a lot of them. It's the most useless spoiler that doesn't matter in the story at all, but.
Thanks everyone for watching the premiere of Tangled Wires. We're a podcast, believe it or not.
Is that no? We're baby hands.
Oh yeah, we're baby hands.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, Tangled Wires dash baby hands.
Okay, we're gonna shut the fuck up now, everybody. Have yourselves a great night, and.
Are you gonna say Merry Christmas?
Why would I say Merry Christmas?
Happy Hanukkah.